All right, let's do a comparison here. We talked about this on Revista Mundialista last night. One of the things that might define this match is the goalie position. Lloris, Pickford, they're both, I feel like they have a catastrophe in them.
You're really low on both. I'm not as low on both.
Okay, that's fair enough. We have that discussion. Which goalie makes you more nervous? If you can take off your...
Go first. You off for me.
Yeah. Who do you have more confidence? If you had to pick a team to win a game, who are you going with?
I think they do things differently. I think Pickford might make a mistake with his feet, whereas I think Lloris might make a mistake with his hands, if that makes sense. I think I could see Lloris conceding like a really weird goal where sometimes you think he's going to save it and save it well, but he might not necessarily do that. Whereas for Pickford, he's going to, at worst, overplay. He's going to try and do something he shouldn't do and put more pressure on his team or make the wrong decision that way. But in terms of shot stopping and stuff, like, I think I prefer Pickford. But then you look at Lloris, he's lifted the World Cup. You know, he's been very successful with France, so he's clearly got something and they do trust him. But I don't think everyone is as confident in Lloris as, say, people would think, if you know what I mean.
What's the vibe back in France on Lloris?
There's a lot of respect in this game, which is, I think, the destiny is there somewhere because he's going to beat the record of the most cap player in French football history against England, where he's been playing for 10 years, where his children, well, 2 of the 3 children were born.
Oh, yeah, there we go. The English
he's my boy, he's my boy, so I'm going to pick the experience, of course, and my boy
English
who
kids,
watches.
English kids as well, yeah? You've got English kids as well?
Yeah, born in London.
So you want them to play for England in the future, yeah?
Now we're really getting
I want them to win the World Cup, so they're going
to
there we go! I'm here all week.
There we go.
I am here all week.
Okay, so we've played football together a little bit. You're an attacking player. You're very much a defender.
I'm a two-way player.
But very much.
I love that expression.
Your professional career was spent as a defender.
Yeah.
So how do you approach dealing with Mbappe?
So I think in terms of Mbappe, if he's at his best, the matchup is not impossible, but it's very, very difficult. And so you try and make it as hard as possible because he's quicker than most people. He has the skill to be able to manipulate the ball. He's a great finisher. But the thing that makes him even harder to play against is when he gets support from maybe Griezmann going across, maybe Hernandez coming across to support, maybe Rabiot coming across. So you need to try and figure out with your team to make sure that, firstly, nobody's isolated with him. But the worst case scenario should be that somehow there's now 2v1 against him. Like, can you go and support him as a midfielder? Really try and put him off. But then I think in fairness to Mbappe, he's very good at looking for 1-2s and things like that. But they might not necessarily come from Giroud in the middle. So for me, I think you try and make him predictable. You don't try and encourage him to sort of have space to run in behind. And you don't say, like, in fairness to Kyle Walker, for as good as he is, I've seen times where he wants someone to race him. In this instance, don't encourage the race. Just do not do it. Like, you might do well 9 times, but on that 10th time, that could be the difference between being in the semi-finals and just losing in the quarters.
Jules, do you see this more as a matchup of a Kyle Walker versus Kylian Mbappe, or do you see more Kylian looking at the center back saying, I could exploit this?
So this is very interesting, and I wonder if Deschamps might try to tweak something, but he starts on the left so much that he will have to go past Walker first before getting to Stones even. I don't see him really coming inside to be facing either Maguire or Stones, so he will be Walker first. And we were talking about Matty Cash. Matty Cash had a good game against Kylian.
Yeah.
He had a good game, and Kylian scored 2 and assisted 1. So this is I think what, as a defender, you must face, and you're thinking like, okay, I know. And I think if Walker defends on his own against Kylian, he might have 90% of a very good game, but the 10% where he's maybe not so good, Kylian will score 2.
Matty Cash got a nice collection of jerseys right now.
Yeah, true.
Who has the edge in the technical area, France or England?
I think in a game like this, Deschamps has to be the pick because of the experience, because of the fact that he's been there before, because that he's won those big games, and Southgate has won some, but has also lost a semi-final of the World Cup, a final of the Euros. Deschamps lost the final of the Euros too, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I would still go for the experience.
Yeah, I would go with Deschamps, but I think Deschamps would be better if he had England's bench. I think for Southgate, he has more options on there. And in regards to the way England play, one thing they're doing differently in this tournament is they play with a back 4, but they're also very comfortable going to a back 3 or turning into a back 5. So if they're winning, they could revert to that. And if they're losing, they can bring on some of the best talent that's at this World Cup still that somehow isn't starting in the game.
What are the knocks against Southgate as a manager back home for you?
Just everything. Everybody hates him, hate his suits, hate the way he speaks, hate the teams that he picks. So aside from that, no, nothing. I think a lot of people believe that his football's too conservative, but I think there's a sort of sense of privilege that exists within English media, which I think misses the point, because for many, many people alive, they weren't really around, that watch England take a real keen interest and speak about it. They weren't around in 1966 when they won the World Cup. Yet still, they speak as if that's something that should be expected every 4 years. But Southgate's delivered a semi-final appearance at a World Cup, which brings a lot of hope, and they've delivered a final in the European Championships. And whether they played against this team, that team, and so on and so forth, teams gone by for England hadn't made it there before. So now that they're there, surely that means it's successful. Yet still, for some people say, yeah, but I want to see 5 goals, I want to see 6 goals. Well, how about just winning football?
Nathan, we use the word fracaso a lot here on this show, which means failure.
Yeah.
Would it be a failure for England to lose to this English team in this round?
So the French team, it depends how they do it. I think because some people now live and die by style of play, you know, they would be really upset if England didn't show up in that game. And I think they want to blame the manager. But one thing I've seen across the recent years is that there are certain teams and players who arrive in big moments and they want to play well, but they can't because they don't know how to play well in that time. You know, that's what we saw with England in the Euros final last summer. And for as good as they were in terms of getting there and taking the lead, once they had the lead, they didn't know how to manage it. So I think for this game here against the French side, who have won it before, I think they're going to need to know how to manage that situation. Should they take the lead or not panic? Should they go behind? So I think it will be perceived as a failure if they don't play the right way. But if they go toe-to-toe with the French side and they end up losing, I think the nation overall will be proud. And they'll take a positive away from it that, you know, the future is bright for the nation.
You mentioned the doubts about Southgate. Are there any doubts about Deschamps in France?
Yes, in the sense that this could be his last tournament and we don't really know what happens next. And we discussed that the other day together, which is a bit of a... This is not... I don't think this is where Deschamps wants to be. He likes when everything is planned and he knows where he's going to be in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time. Now he doesn't know, which could work in his favor because he could say, okay, this is my last competition and we want to finish on a high and the players can give that to him, that sort of things. There were always doubts, even when they won it 4 years ago because they were not playing nice football enough, because of all the talent that he had. Now people are saying that he relies too much on Kylian, all that kind of stuff. So he knows that, but he's used to it. He's strong enough to be able to cope with it and don't feel that kind of pressure. And he knows that it will be over after the World Cup if they lose to England, for example, because the objective set by the federation before we came here was a semi-final at the minimum, at least.
Even with all the injuries.
Even with all the injuries. And that was, I mean, mind you, that was before we lost Benzema. But it will still be the same objective now, and especially when you're already in the quarterfinals. So he will see this as like, okay, the objective is to go all the way anyway. So if I don't beat England, then I would have, my fracaso is there. I would have failed.
We mentioned it on this show, but I think we botched it. What's the French word for fracaso?
Failite. Surely you would remember.
I know, but I want to hear you pronounce it because I botched it. I botched the pronunciation.
So you've got échec, an échec, like the chess game, échec, or faillite.
Faillite.
More than fracaso, yeah.
Okay,
faillite.
So it would be a faillite if they go out
faillite,
here,
yeah,
like
I
a big
think so.
faillite.
I think so.
Let's get some predictions. What do you think?
I said 1-0 to England yesterday on the show with Nathan.
He's lost his mind, by
That's
the
the
way.
emotional hedge
Yeah,
for sure.
100%.
Listen.
Why?
No, listen, I'm worried. I'm really worried
Okay.
by this England side. I have to be honest. I'm worried about Kane. I'm worried about Saka and Foden. I'm worried about the subs, especially more than anything else, because if he brings Rashford after an hour, if Sterling is back, or Grealish, or Maddison, or he's got all those options. And I don't like Southgate. I don't think he's good. I don't trust him. But still, if you throw all those players in, they might do something special. So I'm a bit worried. I've got trust in my boys, but I'm a bit worried. That's why I think a 1-0 England win is not a bad shout at all.
Natum?
Yeah, I hate doing predictions because I always end up being wrong. Because I go for something that I actually believe will happen and I want to happen. You know, I felt like I went quite big on the USA because I fully believed it.
Yeah, you did.
That's literally the definition of drinking the Kool-Aid. I was like, no, this is it. They've got it. But in this game, I liked what I saw from England after they sort of changed their tactical approach yesterday in the game against Senegal. So hopefully, if they're focused, they're ready, they look a better side than, say, they have done in the previous 2 tournaments in terms of managing the moment. So I'm going to lean that way, and I'm going to say England are going to win, but I'm not going to go for the chuck and guarantee it. I'm just going to say I think England are going to win.
All right, very serious footballing discussion here.
Yes.
Let's talk about some memes, okay?
We go
because
for it.
I don't know if you guys know, these guys are always on ESPN FC. It's for a much older audience, right? I think mainly you see that with the host, Dan Thomas, of course, much older than the host here on this show. So we're doing World Cup memes. How big is this in France right now?
Massive. That photo went viral everywhere, literally memes about it. The loving. Let's not forget that before the Euros, before
Herc's
the Euros
favorite
18
movie, The
months ago,
Notebook.
It
they
is
were
one of my
hating each
favorite
other
movies.
because Giroud
Really?
said, Giroud said, when I make
yeah.
the runs, the ball doesn't come, and he didn't name Kylian, but everybody knew he was talking about Kylian.
Actually, Kylian wanted that ball back. He was trying to get that ball back.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah,
Giroud who
it
just said, no, I'm taking it myself.
And now they love each other. The Notebook is a good one.
Natum, this is probably big back home.
It's very, very big, yeah. Because he's trying to recruit him to go to Liverpool as well. But yeah, the one
Oh,
underneath,
there
that
it
is,
is.
yeah, that's a very good perspective. And I think Jordan's maybe a little better looking than that, but we'll see.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.